Well, normally on these updates, I record them, take out the audio, edit, do that kind of stuff. But thought I would do a video recording this week. Mic doesn't work. Headphone jack doesn't work, so I have to get a new mic, but whatever. Well, fuck. It's not been a good week. Yeah, I kind of feel like if you go back and listen to the episode I did just after January 6th, I kind of feel the same way I did then. The same kind of emotions. Disappointment, sadness, anger. Not really surprised, maybe a little bit shocked. I mean, I wasn't surprised by January 6th in the sense that I knew that something was going to happen. You know, if you follow the right wing in their social media spaces and places like that, they've been talking for weeks and weeks, even months ahead of January 6th about things they were organizing and what they were planning on doing. So I knew something was going on. I was a bit shocked by how successful they were. So then, in that case, it was shocking, but I wasn't surprised that something happened. And I guess I kind of feel the same way about this. It's not a surprise. I mean, we were all expecting this for a long time. But it is a little different when it actually happens. And I read the opinion, the draft opinion. And yeah, if you can stomach it, you can try and read it. I read all of it, minus, I guess, the appendix and the footnotes and that kind of thing. And what really frightens me beyond the fact that the ruling was expected, so that, I mean, I was prepared for that. That wasn't like something that I was not expecting. But what really terrifies me is the reasoning in the draft and the direction that it's kind of signaling in. It's really radical. It's like a maximalist ruling. And again, it's a draft, and it's, probably all written by Alito at this point, because it was an initial draft, I think, but it gives you an insight into the mentality of these people. Because in the draft, well, I'll bring up in just a minute here. He says that, oh, this only applies to abortion. And he says this doesn't say anything about any other issues. But if you actually read what he says, that's not really what he says. So let me get the relevant part of this. I just want to highlight a little bit of what he wrote. So here's the part I was talking about. So these attempts to justify abortion through appeals to a broader right to autonomy and to define one's concept of existence prove too much. Those criteria at a high level of generality could license fundamental rights to illicit drug use, prostitution, and the like. None of these rights has any claim to being deeply rooted in history. So what he's getting at is there are enumerated rights which are explicitly stated in the Constitution, and there are unenumerated rights, and he's of the opinion that if you're going to find an unenumerated right, it has to be deeply rooted in history, according to him. And because the right to abortion or reproductive rights is not deeply rooted in history, then it cannot hold that that bans against it are unconstitutional. And then this is the next paragraph here that's really important. What sharply distinguishes the abortion right from the rights recognized in the cases on which Roe and Casey rely is something that both those decisions acknowledged. Abortion destroys what those decisions call potential life and what the law at issue in this case regards as the life of an unborn human being. See Roe, abortion is inherently different. Casey, abortion is a unique act. None of the other decisions cited by Roe and Casey involve the critical moral question posed by abortion. They are therefore inopposite. They do not support the right to obtain an abortion, and by the same token, our conclusion that the Constitution does not confer such a right does not undermine them in any way. So what he's trying to do here is he's trying to separate out the issue of abortion from all these other ones and say that it's different in some way because it's a different type of moral question. I don't really understand this reasoning. And I think this is like a bait and switch, because I mean all of these issues have moral dimensions. The idea that just the abortion issue has moral aspects to it or poses critical moral questions, that's not how they see it. I mean, when they want to take away same-sex marriage, to them they're doing it on critical moral grounds in their view. When they want to take away right to birth control, they're going to say that it's on critical moral grounds. So what is he doing here? This is really disingenuous, and he's leaving. This is really a signal to the states to say, hey, why don't you try some stuff out? Why don't you try some laws and see if they can come up to the Supreme Court, and we'll be open to hear about them. Because this doesn't make any sense. This just doesn't make any sense. This is just, and I don't want to get into there's other parts of this that I don't even want to get into. It's kind of sickening to read. But anyway, this is the point that I wanted to go over in the ruling. Is this is not just about abortion or reproductive rights. And finally, it seems like people are talking about this. It's like, did they wake up like a few days ago and suddenly realize this? Like, I've known it for a long time. A lot of us on the left have known this for a long time. A lot of us in the California independence movement have known this for a long time. That this is just part of a larger project that they're working on. It's not just a single isolated issue. Suddenly now, everybody in the mainstream media, CNN and MSNBC and all these other mainstream publications, suddenly they realize that this has more to do with abortion, more to do with than just abortion. It just occurred to them. We've known this for a long time. So we've been saying this for a while. So, yeah. So, where do we go from here? I mean, we need to be honest with ourselves. We're looking at a political landscape where within 3 years, so say by the summer of 2025, abortion could be completely illegal in the state of California, where I have 2 daughters. In 2025, they'll be 14 and 10 years old. So it is possible 3 years from now, if one of them is raped, they could be forced to carry that to term, ostensibly under federal law. At 3 years from now, conceivably, there may not be a right to contraception in California. And let me remind everybody why. People have left this to the courts, and they have not looked at legislation, and especially at the state level, but most importantly at the federal level. So when this decision comes out and he says, we'll leave it to the people's elected representatives, what they're saying is, first of all, the state laws, anything goes in the states, okay? Which poses a whole set of other issues that I'm not going to get into right now. So what you should do is go back to, so if you're on a podcast platform, go back and listen to my interview with Hannah Miyamoto, where I talk about the different types of issues this raises between states. We talk about, the fact that states are going to start to pass laws about, crossing state lines and providing abortion medication in the mail, assisting somebody with an abortion out of state, and what a shit show. So go and listen to that interview. Like I said, it's on if you're on a podcast platform, just go back to a previous episode. If you're on the YouTube channel, just scroll down through the videos. It's also in the interview playlist. Well, we talk about this for a while, but there's that. But also, when he writes in his opinion, this is left to the people's elected representatives. That includes Congress. And so what this is saying is Congress is entirely up to you, right? Do whatever. If you want to pass a law, that establishes a right to abortion, go ahead. If you want to pass a law that completely makes all abortion illegal, go ahead. It just completely leaves it to the legislature, and what it says is that there's no constitutional issue here at all, because this court does not believe the right to privacy can be found in the Constitution. They have a very, very limited interpretation of the 14th Amendment and due process. And so this is leaving it up to legislatures. And that's why. So just to be clear, a lot of people you'll hear, they'll say, well, California is fine because it's going to be left to the states. We're in a blue state. California is never going to do this kind of thing. Again, the problem with that is when you're part of the federal union, federal laws override state laws. Doesn't matter if it's in the state constitution. Doesn't matter. So that's why I say in 3 years, Republicans have the House, the Senate, and win the presidency, they are going to come after a lot of things, not just this. And those laws will apply in California. So yeah, dark days. Yeah, so we need to think about where we go from here. I mean, obviously, we're not going to stand for this. I don't see a resolution to this. This is as big an issue, as contentious an issue today as slavery was in the 1850s. And it also, I think it wraps in a number of different issues within it, meaning that when people fight over abortion, when they fight over abortion policy, it's really a proxy for a whole range of issues. And this is how I mentioned that abortion is not just an isolated issue for them, it's part of an attack on civil rights and voting rights, on contraception, on marriage rights, on LGBTQ issues. It's all part of the same package. They want to completely roll back. They want to roll back the federal government to at least, say, the 1880s, before the New Deal, before the Gilded Age. So that's what we're, and abortion is representative of that. And the people who are fighting against this, we don't just see it as just about abortion. We see it as trying to stop this onslaught of the progress we've made in the past 100 years or 150 years that's being rolled back. So, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, because California is not going to back down. We're not. And this Christian fascist movement is not going to back down either. These are fanatics. They're zealots. They don't know when to quit. They don't know when to take yes for an answer. Every victory just emboldens them for more. Just whets their appetite. So I don't know. Unless you want to live in a world closer to The Handmaid's Tale, we've got to start doing something. And that's a lot about what this show is about. That's a lot about what this movement is about. Yeah. So I think that's about all I have to say on this. This is not surprising, but I guess shocking in actual wording in this decision. You would think that you would think they wouldn't be quite so brazen in the direction they're going, but like I said, when you're dealing with fanatics and zealots, there's just no limit. Just no limit. So yeah. So we'll talk about this more later. Yeah, I just kind of wanted to talk extemporaneously, not worry about writing something up, writing notes, or preparing what I was going to say and editing it afterwards. Just kind of say what was on my mind just as it came to me. So we'll talk to you later. Please, if you're listening on a platform, subscribe, leave a positive rating. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe and like and share. Also, please visit Red Star Report, their YouTube channel, their webpage. They've really been doing some great things the past few weeks and few months this year. So go check them out as well. All right. That's it for me.